Warm greetings from the high 10. This is Everyday Shenanigans, and thanks for joining me. Doing back lives this morning. Hope you all can sit around for just a short while to listen to these lives. These are very short lives today. I just brought you a live pertaining to the death of Cash Gernon, and I have another live pertaining to information pertaining to his biological mother. I meant to reveal earlier, but I had so many, but I will bring that one after this one. This live is pertaining to Rittenhouse retaining a new lawyer, the two guards falsifying jail records in the death of Epstein. Most of you know that he killed himself in a New York jail. They took a plea. And also I will be bringing you a horrific story of a case pertaining to abuse and a violent death of a small child by the hands of his mother's boyfriend. Now for my update pertaining to Rittenhouse.
It was the first time that we saw Kyle Rittenhouse appear in person in the state of Wisconsin, where he's accused. So, Shaq, you say this won't start until November. Any sense yet of what the Rittenhouse defense is going to be? Well, we heard early on that they're saying, and his legal team is saying, this was all about self-defense. He was acting in self-defense. He was being attacked when he shot and killed two people and injured a third. Let's put up what the charges he's facing. Let's put up those charges, because there's 5 felony charges. These are serious charges. They include 1 count of first-degree intentional homicide, 1 count of first-degree reckless homicide. Those 2 are for the 2 men who were killed. Additionally, count of attempted first-degree homicide, 2 counts of reckless endangerment for firing at some other protesters there, and 1 count of possession of a dangerous weapon as a minor. That last one is a lower count, but you see, those are some very serious charges that he's facing. The highest charge
Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. Oh, trying to get this live on. So sorry. This is by NBC News pertaining to Rittenhouse. Well, I'm trying to get it to play. Thank you all so much. Hello. Nothing wants to act right this morning, I tell you. Hold on. Well, I was trying to get some audio for you all pertaining to Kyle Rittenhouse. Most of you, I don't know if you know, but some of you probably do. He's retained a new attorney. Somehow I can't get the video to play. I don't know. Well, anyway, I'll just read it to you. Kyle Rittenhouse, the teenager charged with killing 2 people during protests that followed the police shooting of Jacob Blake in Wisconsin last summer, retained a new attorney prior to his first in-person court hearing Friday. Rittenhouse, dressed in a dark-colored suit and wearing a black mask, said nothing during Friday morning's hearing in Kenosha, Wisconsin. COVID-19 protocols forced Rittenhouse to make his earlier court appearances virtually, but those restrictions have since been lifted. Also on Friday, Rittenhouse retained Corey Shurafisi, a defense attorney based in Madison, to serve as co-counsel, according to attorney Mark Richards, who was already representing Rittenhouse. The government has 2, and we wanted it to be fair, Richards told NBC News on Friday. Richards and Shurafisi and attorneys for the prosecution discussed pretrial deadlines for jury questionnaires and disclosure of defense witnesses during Friday's pretrial hearing. Rittenhouse is due back to court September 17th. A trial date is still set for November 1st, and it is expected to last about 2 weeks. Rittenhouse, who is white, is accused of traveling to Kenosha from his home in Antioch, Illinois on August 25th after a local militia posted an online message seeking help protecting businesses from protesters. Kenosha was in the throes of several nights of chaotic protests after a white police officer shot Blake, who is black, in the back during a domestic disturbance. The shooting left Blake paralyzed from the waist down. Video shows Rittenhouse, who was 17 at the time, opened fire on protesters Joseph Rosenbaum, Anthony Huber, engaged Gross Cruz, with an AR-15 style rifle. Rosenbaum and Huber died. Gross Cruz was wounded but survived. He faces multiple felony counts, including reckless homicide and reckless endangerment. He also faces a misdemeanor count of being a minor in possession of a firearm. Rittenhouse maintains he was defending himself, and conservatives have rallied around him, painting him as a symbol for gun rights. They generated $2 million for his bail in November. Richards has said in court documents that Rittenhouse and his family have moved into an undisclosed safe house because they've received multiple threats. This is by NBC News. My commentary on that is that most people know who follow my content. Hello, everyone in the chat. That his mother took him across state lines, which was wrong, and I don't see the reason why she would take him over state lines to go to any type of protest without her being accompanied with him. Now, did she know he had a gun stored at his friend's basement? I don't know. But I still feel like she's liable. The friend's father who handed him the gun in the basement that day, he's liable because his friend purchased the gun for him. So the friend is liable because he was older than him at the time when he purchased the gun for Rittenhouse. The father is liable for handing him the gun knowing he was still underage. That whole fiasco of him running around the streets pretending to be a medic and a paramedic and a nurse and a doctor and a civilian and a this and that was ridiculous. Rittenhouse is like a lot of people. He is a Captain Save-A-Ho. He is one of those people who is needy and thirsty for attention. He wanted to be in an authoritative position, a police, this or that, military, can't decide what he wants to do. So he's everything. And he's, like I said, many people. He wants to be seen. He wants to be recognized. So that was his morning glory on that fateful evening in Kenosha, because he was all over the place. One minute he's wiping down walls of graffiti. The next minute he's guarding a car lot. Then he went from the car lot to running down the street, getting himself involved in this gunplay, and these people are dead and wounded. He's vowed to me. And the people who raise money for him, they're just as crazy and nutty as well. And that's my personal opinion pertaining to Kyle Rittenhouse. The next story is pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein, who is no longer living. The source is Fox 35 News. Jeffrey Epstein prison guards admit to falsifying records. The two Bureau of Prison workers tasked with guarding Jeffrey Epstein the night he killed himself in a New York jail have admitted they falsified records, but they will skirt any time behind bars under a deal with federal prosecutors, authorities said Friday. Excuse me. The prison workers, Tova Noel and Michael Thomas, were accused of sleeping and browsing the internet instead of monitoring Epstein the night he took his own life in August 2019. They were charged with lying on prison records to make it seem as though they had made required checks on the financier before he was found in his cell August 10th. New York City's medical examiner ruled Epstein's death a suicide. As part of the deal with prosecutors, they will enter a deferred prosecution agreement with the Justice Department and will serve no time behind bars, according to a letter from federal prosecutors that was filed in court papers Friday. Noel and Thomas would instead be subjected to supervised release, would be required to complete 100 hours of community service, and would be required to fully cooperate with an ongoing probe by the Justice Department's Inspector General, it says. The two have admitted that they willfully and knowingly completed materially false count and round slips regarding required counts and rounds in the housing unit where Epstein was being held, the letter says. The deal would need to be approved by a judge, which could come as soon as next week. Prosecutors allege that Noel and Thomas sat at their desks just 15 feet from Epstein's cell, shopped online for furniture and motorcycles, and walked around the unit's common area instead of making required rounds every 30 minutes. During one 2-hour period, both appeared to have been asleep, according to the indictment filed against them. Epstein's death was a major embarrassment for the Federal Bureau of Prisons and highlighted major security and staffing issues within the agency. It revealed the jail was suffering from problems including chronic staffing shortages that led to mandatory overtime for guards day after day and other staff being pressed into service as correctional officers. And yes, I had heard some had worked 2 8-hour shifts back to back, one of the officers, and one of those officers was not even a correctional officer. He was put into that position. So I do not believe in overworking anyone back to back. I don't care what type of work they're doing, because usually people will lag in their demeanor and their work ethic if they are doing back-to-back shifts, especially if you have not prepared yourself to work a back-to-back 8-hour shift, 12-hour shift, 16-hour shift. That's common sense. Now, many will say, well, who cares that he killed himself? He was a dog. He was a mutt. He didn't care about anyone. He solicited young girls. He had that jostling lady helping with him aid the girls. Other parties aiding into what would be considered rape of young girls, solicitation. Then the flip side is there are people who wanted justice for the crimes committed against them, their children, So he took the coward's way out by killing himself in that said cell. Well, hopefully this prison jail, whatever, will change their curriculum as far as watching and monitoring anyone they deem in a position to take their own life. But as I said, in this situation, really everything is up for interpretation. It basically just depends on how you actually feel about Epstein. If you care that he killed himself or that the guards were not watching. But that is the said information by Fox 35 pertaining to the two guards now admitting that they falsified records pertaining to Epstein and that fateful day that he took his life. They were shopping, sleeping, and not paying attention, and did not do their rounds according to said affidavit. And then we have to also worry about other things that they're falsifying, because that's where that leads to, because that's the old saying, if you lie about one thing, you lie about another. So perhaps, stand back, Gypsy, what are you talking about? We all know Epstein didn't kill himself. I don't know anything. You speak for yourself. Don't speak for Angela. A coward would kill themselves. He was a coward when he was raping those girls. So it would not shock me a coward would kill himself. Also, I want you to pray for the people in Louisiana. There was terrible flooding down there. I meant to mention that earlier. There's terrible flooding in the state of Louisiana. Flash floods and dozens of high water rescues took place in Louisiana. That is the said information. You can find that video on YouTube, on the NBC News. Many people had to be aided to safety. I believe there was also a young baby that may have been afloat. I did post that to my community page for those of you who are interested in that said commentary. But these guards have made a deal with federal prosecutors pertaining to not watching Epstein and falsifying the records pertaining to that fateful day. If you want to donate to the channel, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App, and all super chats are welcome during the live. I will now get into my main story for this live pertaining to the death of a small child. It is a very horrific story, and if you have a weak stomach, you may want to exit out of this video, come back another time. But this is my main story for this morning live. WFTV Channel 9 is the source. Affidavit. Toddler's heart ripped in half in fatal beating. Mom's boyfriend charged. This is coming out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. An Indiana man has been charged with murder after his girlfriend's 17-month-old son suffered blunt force trauma severe enough to tear his heart in two, authorities said. Shaquille Shannon Rowe, 27, he is an African-American male, of Fort Wayne, is charged with murder, aggravated battery, and neglect of a dependent resulting in death, according to court records. He is being held in Allen County Jail. Fort Wayne police officials reported that officers and paramedics were called to the Brookmill Court's apartments shortly after noon, May 17th, on the report of a child who wasn't breathing. They found Aiden Michon Clark lying on the floor where Rose said he'd been trying to perform CPR. Aiden was rushed to Lutheran Hospital where he was pronounced dead. A probable cause affidavit obtained by Fort Wayne's NBC affiliate alleges that Rowe told police his girlfriend, Jasmine Clark, had left him at the apartment with Aiden and his twin sister, who was identified in the boy's obituary as Aubrey Clark. Rowe said he played a video game for a while in the master bedroom and then watched TV before deciding to get in the shower. Rowe told 911 dispatcher he was showering when he heard one of the children crying. Shaquille stated that he got out of the shower and went to check on the twin children. And when he opened their bedroom door, he saw Aubrey, which is the girl child, standing there crying. And Aiden, the boy child, now deceased, was lying down on the ground next to the inflatable airbed, the affidavit states. Shaquille stated that the baby was wheezing or raspy. Rowe told police he ran to a neighbor's apartment for a phone and called 911. The dispatcher who answered the call noted that when Rowe was explaining what had happened, he muttered, "Why did she leave me in the house like this?" The paramedics who responded to the apartment told detectives they noticed bruising on Aiden's neck and chest that they believe could be related to physical abuse, the affidavit states. The forensic pathologist who performed the boy's autopsy the next morning made some disturbing findings. Dr. Scott Wagner advised that Aiden suffered a fractured sternum. The court document alleges Dr. Wagner stated that the victim's heart was ripped in half and and his pericardium sac was torn and that there was a massive amount of hemorrhaging. Wagner found that Aiden suffered blunt force trauma to both his chest and his left midsection. The toddler's spleen was lacerated and there was bleeding around his left kidney and his pancreas. Dr. Wagner advised that Aiden likely died in 2 to 5 minutes after suffering his injuries, the affidavit states. Both Rowe and Clark told detectives Rowe was the only adult in the apartment with the children that afternoon. Rowe was initially charged with battery and neglect. The murder charge was added after the autopsy was completed, authorities said. This information is by WFTV Channel 9. What in God's name is wrong with this Negro? Shaquille Shannon Rowe, 27 years of age, looks like he's damn near 50, kills a 17-month-old boy who was a twin to a girl. Aubrey is still alive, hopefully in the care of somebody else. This 27-year-old black man needs his ass beat. And somebody needs to give him just what he gave that 17-month-old boy. Let me guess. He either stomped the baby in the chest or beat him in the chest. Take your pick. This is a nasty MF. To beat this child the way he did. So there's just no words. Disrespectful is not even an appropriate word for beating a child this severely. And the child was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. And he beat this child severely. And he acted like he took a shower and went in a room and heard the baby crying when obviously he had beat that child. Why he beat the child, I do not know. It doesn't even matter. But this is a lie that he is spinning. And then had the nerve, went in a room with the baby was beside a blow-up bed. Well, let me guess. Mommy couldn't afford to buy the baby a nice twin bed, toddler bed. He and his twin sister, they're sleeping on blow-up mattresses. Ooh, young people. Disgusting. Paramedics said they noticed bruising on Aiden's neck and chest that they believe could be related to physical abuse. Dr. Scott says this baby suffered a fractured sternum, heart ripped in half, and his pericardium sac was torn, and there was a massive amount of hemorrhaging. Blunt force trauma to both his chest and his left midsection. The toddler's spleen was lacerated, and there was bleeding around his left kidney and his pancreas. So you done beat the baby down to where he didn't have a functioning kidney, pancreas, sternum, midsection, neck, heart tore up, pericardium sac torn, and he was bleeding to death. Damn. Oh, Lord have mercy. Well, I blame the mother because 9 times out of 10, the baby has been beat up by this man. He's been beating, punching, pinching, doing whatever to this kid. But you don't wake up one day and beat a child down like he's a grown-ass man. You beat this child like he was a grown damn man. And this is so vile. As I state, there's no appropriate word to use for an adult to beat a kid. And 17 months old means can't talk. He can't form a full sentence. So there's nothing that he could have done worthy of a beat down when, one, he can't use the restroom, he can't drive, he can't work, probably barely can open a door, can't tie his shoes, can't form a complete sentence, can't ride a bicycle, can't tie his shoes, still wearing diapers. And you would find the need, you dirty bastard, to beat this baby down like this. And the fact that I named that many things wrong with that child's body, I can't even imagine the death that he suffered. And as this medical examiner says, or whomever his title, 2 to 5 minutes total. He didn't live long. He probably did good to make it to the hospital before passing away. But this dirty dog has been charged. In the beating death of a 17-month-old boy twin and ripped his heart in half is what this affidavit states. Shaquille Shannon Rowe, 27, of Fort Wayne. And you will file, and the baby mama, you file too. Because like I said, there's no way I'm going to sit here and believe she did not know this man had been beating her baby, and she didn't have any business leaving him with her kid. And I won't doubt that the child already had other bruising on him before she left out, because 9 times out of 10, he's been beating this baby. So she needs her ass beat too. That's my said live. I saw this in my news break app, and I was just stunned when I saw it come up in my notification that someone would beat a 17-month-old baby, 1 year and 5 months old, snuffed out because somebody didn't think he was worthy enough to live. And let me guess, he was crying. He got in your way, Mr. Shaquille. You couldn't make him stop crying. So you punched him and you kept punching him till what? You broke his heart in half, literally. We have some evil, vile people, as I state, that do not need to be having children, giving birth and or producing sperm to make a baby or raise the child. It doesn't matter if you gave birth, you provided the sperm, the egg. It doesn't matter if you took the child in by adoption, foster care, your grandbaby, neighbor, whomever. Everybody does not deserve the title. Because as I state, you do not know if you can do the job until you're actually in the job. I want to thank you all for joining me. Please pray for the other twin, Aubrey, that she is in a safer home environment, because I pray to God she is not with her stinking mama, because there's no way she needs to have any kids, because there's no way I'm going to believe she didn't know that man had been beating her kids. And if he beat one twin, he beat the other. Because what's going to be the difference between you beating this one and not beating her? I will be bringing you another update pertaining to Cash Gurning. Piece of information I left out that I want to get out today before the day gets started, so people can wake up and have the said information. I don't want to be doing any more late lives pertaining to any breaking news and storylines. I just don't want to keep going late lives, because it's quite pointless at this point to keep doing the lives. People never call in to give their opinion. So I'll just give the information or upload it to YouTube as is. Thank you all for joining me. If you want to donate to the channel, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. All super chats are welcome during the live. Thank you all for joining me. Stay tuned for another live pertaining to Cash Gurning, the 4-year-old child who was found dead in a street, kidnapped from a home where he was staying with a Miss Sherrod and her other 4 children alongside his twin Carter. Thank you all for joining me. God bless all of you and have a safe Saturday and weekend. This is Everyday Shenanigans.